My name is Kathleen, and I have a background in pastoral care. I worked at churches, and I have grad school work in counseling and psychology. And I've just had a chance at different points to be involved, sadly, but in a neat, exciting way, to be involved in crisis as it hits different countries. So I was out in Southeast Asia after the tsunami, and I've done some work in some of the really troubled parts of South Africa, and so have a trauma and crisis recovery background. And so I'm going to be talking a little bit today about how to manage the emotions that come up during a traumatic event and during a crisis, and how we stay calm and how we find the Lord in the midst of this. So that's some of what we'll be talking about today. Anxiety, it's very similar to fear. But it can be very pervasive. It's a pervasive sense of dread, a pervasive sense of fear that something bad is going to happen. And it's really attached to picturing what could come. So really engage the imagination and things, all the horrendous things that could be coming. And it's not all bad. Sometimes anxiety is a cue to us that something's wrong and we need to move into action and we need to mobilize. So it's not entirely bad. But what we want to talk about is how do you manage it so that it doesn't spiral into a place where it's no longer productive and it's no longer helpful and it's getting you into a mindset or a lifestyle that's actually counterproductive to your well-being and to your health. And so we want to talk about how do you leverage anxiety to its best possible use, but keep it under control so that it doesn't start degrading and diminishing your ability to solve problems, live your life, do what you need to do right now, and not be totally overcome by the current situation. So one of the bigger challenges I think that just happened with this COVID-19 and the news that things are starting to shut down, that we're not going to be able to kind of live our normal lifestyle, is we've got this news about this disease. First of all, it's unknown. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We're learning bits and pieces of news that's a few months old in Asia and in parts of Europe. So we're getting a little bit of a clue of what's coming. But we didn't know our whole lifestyle was going to change, and we're used to the flu. We thought that was it, so we probably didn't think this was going to get to the level it's gotten to. So right now we're in a scenario where anxiety can be very high because our circumstances have shifted. Like, we've got this unknown. What could happen? How serious is this? What's the level of dread attached to this thing? And so our adrenaline is ramped up, our vigilance is ramped up, we're watching people wipe stuff out of grocery stores. You know, it's just a really challenging time. But we're also getting sent home from work, and the kids are sent home, and all our routines are disrupted, and our access to each other is starting to go down. And so those would normally be the things that we would lean on in an anxious time. Those would be things that would help us feel a little bit more stable, and those are all being stripped away. So we do have a little bit emotionally, spiritually of a perfect storm of high stress, and then we can't even go to church together right now. And so it's just a little bit challenging. And so we just have to know right now people will be on edge. And that's normal. They're going to be irritable, they're going to be anxious, and they're maybe going to do some strange things. And what we want to do is talk about how do you mitigate that so it doesn't go out of control, but expect it. And once this levels out a bit, we have clarity about what's coming, and we sort of figure out how to do this new lifestyle, we'll probably see things level out, but we're kind of at like the peak of things not lining up very ideally right now, and people emotionally usually don't handle that very well. So we want to talk a little bit about how to manage that.